She Can, we tell women's stories. We show how women got to where they are today. And I'm really excited to talk to Anne Daniels this morning. Anne, welcome to She Can. You really have an incredible journey, one that I have never interviewed anyone who did what you did, which is extra special. You're a polar explorer and international motivational speaker. You're a world record holder in being the first woman in history, along with your teammate, to reach the North and South Pole as part of an all-women's team. Your motto is you only have one life, live it. You show that you're the mom of 18-year-old triplets, I believe. And all difficult journeys start with the first step, which I love. That's a sentence you put on your website, which I think describes so many journeys of so many people. So tell us a bit more about yourself and where you're at now.
Oh, and I think that's lovely, and thank you for putting it all in. Um, my triplets are now 29. I started that long ago. And to talk about my journey, I also have a 21-year-old daughter as well. So I have four children.
Okay.
And yeah, I did all those things. It was wonderful, but it was at a time when either women didn't do that, and especially mothers of children and triplets. And I became a single mother of children. So that was really, oh, how can she do all these things? But if you don't believe in yourself and you don't put yourself forward, how can you expect anybody else to? And there are so many blockers in the world for women, whether you have children or not. And so I just pushed through them. And it's not that I didn't feel them or doubt myself at any point. I just kept putting them to one side. And so where I am now is, yes, I'm world record holder, but I'm really proud of working on scientific expeditions.
Mhm.
And now I speak more than anything else. I'm going to Paris tomorrow, and it's wonderful to be able to share the story of what women can do
Yeah.
when they, number one, believe, but then take the steps to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I am right now.
And so tell us a bit more on how you got onto this journey. Your triplets are 29. I mean, what you did is so wildly out of my comfort zone. I just thinking about it gives me immediately fear and, everything, all the feels. So how does one push oneself to the point of being wildly out of one's comfort zone?
Well, for me, it was actually, I was going through a really difficult time in my life. I had never done anything like that, the outdoor stuff or expeditions, but I found myself facing divorce. And at the time, I had 18-month-old triplets. I didn't know what to do with my life. So, every reason that I shouldn't have done it. But I had to survive, and I didn't feel I was coping with my future and what it looked like. It looked bleak black, and I was against the ropes. And I just saw an advert asking for ordinary women. I was actually shown it, of ordinary women to apply to be part of the first all-female team to walk to the North Pole. And I'd never done anything like it, but I thought I had to try something to change where I am now. So even though I was afraid and I had no skills and I didn't know what I was doing, I applied. And that was the big step, that first step, just applying. And that changed my life and my future and how I felt about myself. Just the application made me change how I felt about myself because I was doing something and taking control. So that's kind of how I got into it. And I went on the selection and I was rubbish. I had absolutely no skills. But they had two selections. They didn't get rid of anybody. And so then I took the steps. This is what I know, what I need to do. I've got to get strong. I've got to be able to read a map and carry a rucksack. And so I just fitted it in. I took the children with me. I pushed them in a pram while I was carrying things. And just every step was about looking after babies because I was looking after them on my own or training for this new thing. That became my life, and I was dedicated for it and put everything into both things and got there. Got the thing. Got there.
You make it sound so easy, and just thinking about the North Pole, I'm thinking, oh my God, it must be so
Well, it was,
cold.
I mean, it was a journey over a lot of years because the first one was a relay and I didn't get to the North Pole on that. That's where I kind of learnt my skills. Even though the last team did, they got there. That was the record. And then we went, a team of us put together an expedition to go to the South Pole. So that was 3 years later. We trained, we planned. So it's taken all these years. It wasn't, oh, and then I got there tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then from that, then I began guiding. So it was over a period of time, and then the final big expedition where I did go the whole way from land to the North Pole. It wasn't a relay there, there we went. And that was in 2002. So, it was a fair amount of time. And then, the scientific, it doesn't just happen tomorrow. You have to put the work in, but you have to keep going. It's those small steps.
Yeah.
And somebody once said to me, which it stuck with me. We always talk about, yeah, it was really tough to begin with, and I really trained and blah blah blah, and then I got there. But actually, the real difficult time is the lumpy bit in the middle, where every day you've got to go out when you don't want to and do another training session, and you're cold and tired, and it's that stuff that you have to keep going. That's the important stuff. The lumpy bits in the middle are the important stuff.
So, and what do you feel you've learned from sort of pushing yourself to go to the edge? I mean, you went to the edge of the world, to the edge of society, to the edge of your physical and mental ability. What attracts you? Why does the edge attract you? How, and what have you learned from it?
Well, so it was at beginning, it wasn't the edge that the cold or the ends of the world. It was I need to do something. And it could have been an advert for a desert trip or a mountain trip. It happened to be the polar world.
Mm.
And I had never experienced any outdoors. So when I arrived in the Arctic, it blew my mind away. This beautiful nature that I had never been introduced to. It never occurred to me to go outside. And it was that drew me to how amazing our planet is. And I'm educated the same as anybody else, but I hadn't really grasped it because I came from a city. And I loved that. What I loved about expedition life is it didn't matter where you came from. So on that expedition, there were people who had very high education that came from private, they'd all been to universities or they'd had private schools or they came from affluent backgrounds. It didn't matter when you got to the eyes. Didn't matter where you came from, what you owned. It was how you behaved and how you worked as a team, and it became down to the people who you are inside. That is what, and that could have been anywhere. That is what really spoke to me. Because when a team kind of has got each other's backs and they've got the right values of care and honesty and integrity and humor in adversity, that was just so beautiful and unique. And that's what really filled me with joy. The actual geography or even the vehicle could have been something different. I'd never experienced that before. And that's what I love about what I do and about what we do now. We are recognizing that actually it's not what we've got in this world that counts, it's who we are. And I think that's more, I hear that more and more, and that fills me with hope and joy.
Yeah, no, you said that so beautifully. And so, what would you say is your main motivator now? You've had all these incredible experiences. You're a world record holder. You managed to grow 4 humans on the side. I mean,
That's my biggest issue. I look at them. So I'll tell you where I am and what's my motivator now. But I would also kind of say for my children, what I'm most proud of them for is I did a lot of TV and all that kind of thing, and everybody always looked at the children from when they were tiny. Wow, do you think your mum's amazing? Well, I'm their mum. It doesn't really feature what I do,
Yeah.
but they kept going. And then it was, oh wow, are you going to follow in her footsteps? Do you want to do it? And it was constant. And I was really careful to say, no, you have to not listen to that either. Not, oh, you can go run off and do that. You have to, what do you want to do with your life? Because bravery comes from choosing your own path and not what people expect of you, whether
Mm.
it's highs or lows. And what I'm really proud is that none of them want to do what I would do. But that's not what makes me proud. But they've chosen their own path. One's a teacher, one's trained to be a paramedic, one looks after a team and does events. And then the youngest, the singleton, who's 21, she loves geography. But she's interested in the Amazon. And so she is interested, but because she wants to do it, not because she feels she has to.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I'm kind of proud of that. And what motivates me now, they're kind of doing their own thing. So it was always to help them and myself and life and all that kind of thing. Now they're grown up, they're doing their own thing. It is sharing. I speak and I feel that it's, of course, I earn an income. I don't want to pretend I don't. But I go into companies and hopefully I'm helping somebody in that audience to feel more positive, to feel that to give them something, whether it's a lesson I've learned or a skill or a little bit of, I hate going, I want to inspire people. That sounds terrible and egotistic. But if just one person can look at me and where I've gone and think, oh, I can do a bit more, I don't have to do what I'm expected,
Mm.
that motivates me. And speaking to, she can and just spreading the word out because not I wasn't brought up to feel I could do things. And so many people we're not. We're put into restrictive boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we still do that as a society. We still put children in drawers. You're either the academic one or the brave one or the sporty one and we have to stop that because it's not serving them, it's not serving us. The system isn't serving their development. So I always think we need more examples of people who dance outside of the boxes to make sure that young people especially realize that.
Yeah. What's your passion? Go
Exactly.
do that.
Yeah.
And that's what motivates me now because we do still do it all over. And it's great to be a part of hopefully changing those thoughts and vocabularies. And I get a lot from that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think, whoever
absolutely.
thought I'd be able to do that? That for me is, it's not the world records, actually, that's just a thing on paper. But actually to be able, if you can't do anything with it, it's useless. But to be able to do something, that
Yeah,
lights the fire.
yeah. And so you are obviously really brave. What qualities do you think you have that served you through all of those expeditions?
Oh, for sure. And I don't necessarily think that it was bravery. I have tenacity. And as it turns out, well, I kind of always knew that, as part of a big family, is I do care about the people I'm with. If I
Mm.
was going to be anything, I'd love to say I'm a warrior, but I think I'm more a shield, a protector. And I love, if I'm out there, I'm doing the best I can because I want to for the team and the mission, and I want to be part of that. And my fears, and truly, when I was ever asked, were always, "What are you afraid of?" It was never the cold, the polar bears. It was always, "Oh, I don't want to let my team down." And I
Mm.
think that that is one of my biggest, that is one of my qualities is I don't want to let people down and I want to do the best for them. And I will give everything. I don't give up. I can fail. I'm all right with that, but
Mm.
I don't give up. I will keep going until, so it is impossible to keep going anymore. Not recklessly, but that's one of my skills. And I think that's it, the tenacity, the resilience, all the things we know about. It's not it's not big rocket science. Just and care for your team and what do they want to do and value their skills. Everybody in a team has got different skills. just because I'm on She Can, I'm not going to say I can pull a sledge as heavy as the guys, because I can't. They train the same as me. They're different physiologically, but I
Yeah.
can pull my weight and I can navigate and I have different skills and it's just as valuable. Who cares who's pulling the most tea bags, for crying out loud? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've wandered on. I don't even know what the question was.
No, you've given a perfect reply, I think. And I'm wondering, what would you say are your biggest learnings from being out on the ice and in the polar landscape so many times? What are the sort of takeaways from that?
Mm. The world is changing. We live in a changing planet. The ice is disappearing. There is no question and no doubt. I have seen it from 1997, and the last time I went out there was 2018. Nobody's going out there anymore. My, mine, our record, or any record on the polar ice cap in the Arctic Ocean will never, ever be taken, because not because nobody's good enough. There is no ice to walk from land to the North Pole.
Okay.
And for me, my takeaway is we need to walk on this earth more gentle than we do, and
Mm.
be mindful that whatever we do in any part of our world affects the rest of the planet. We're not just colloquial. That's one of my takeaways.
Yeah.
Is it's great to encourage each other to be strong and powerful and successful, but we need to look after the world that we live in as well as each other.
And so what are the steps that you've taken to change your way in the world, especially in terms of climate change and the changes that you've seen throughout those many years that you've been going back and forth to?
It's a good question, and it is a good question. And for me, I'm mindful, because I'm also aware that I live in a house that I have heating on, that I wear clothes, that I eat food that's grown. I'm very aware that I live a the kind of life we live now. But what I try to do is be mindful of everything I do every day. I will not buy water in bottles. I I don't have wasteful food. I buy what I need. I buy it out of plastic. I walk more, I think more, but then the other side of it is I'm working with pro bono work with charities and institutions that are looking at how to slow it down, and working with Real Ice, that it's how can we try and re-ice part of it so that just give us a bit more time, all those things.
Yeah.
So it's steps. So I'm lucky that I have a network that I can go and help people who are doing real things,
Mm.
and then I'm mindful, and I talk to the children and I talk about it around the world, and I'm mindful I'm not perfect as well. I think that's where you've also got to start, is don't
Yeah.
preach it and then think you're not part of the problem as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am with it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds really like a really good way of thinking about it, because I think so many don't, and they think, oh, I can't make a change anyway, so I'm doing nothing. So I think that's that's always the trap.
Oh no, and also, so I've got to come back on that now. I don't get me on this because we'll be here all day. Is people say I can't do anything, but the power of the collective is just not. I don't think it's valued enough. We all say the companies should do it, the politicians should do it, but we all know is if you refuse, and I could just keep giving you anecdotes of times that I've done it and people have changed. If you refuse to go into Costa Coffee or any coffee shop, there are others, and have a takeaway cup, you
Yeah.
refuse to do that,
Yeah.
they will change their policy and won't put them anymore. If you refuse to
Absolutely.
go into a supermarket and buy things that are in one-time plastic, they will stop, because they will then change their habits because they want money.
Yeah.
If you Again, with the governments, of course they should do one. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but if you hold them to account and they know you care about, and you're not going to vote for them unless you do, they care about votes. They may not care about the climate so much, and that's a statement that may or may not be true, but they care about votes. So
Yeah.
the power of the collective is, as a collective, you can make these people suffer, and then therefore they will do what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
agree
not,
100%.
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Um,
And so, what tips do you have for our listeners to work on that belief that you can do it? Something that you really have done so incredibly well.
I think
Get through the messy bits in the middle that you said.
there's
Sometimes we can even take the first step, but
a-
then,
and that's it. Believe it's not good to say, "Oh, believe in yourself," because actually, what does that mean? It is just another thing. But I would say, yes, believe in yourself, but look at where you've got to already for a start. I don't know, wherever you are in your life, you will have had achievements. And even if you don't think, I can't do that, just say, well, I'll take a step, I'll have a go. And even if you don't even have, I didn't think I'd get to the North Pole when I answered that advert. Just take a step and speak to your internal voice of, well, I can take one step and then I can take another. And bit by bit, look back on what you've achieved and, well, I've done that, I can do a bit more. Small steps for me, but I think it is also your internal voice of, why don't I believe I can do that? Is that because of what society? I've got two arms, I've two legs, I have a brain. Why is it for other people, not me? That, why can't I? And then just have a go. And even if you're not there completely, as you get further, you will start to believe in yourself, or you'll make a progress further forward. And that in itself is worthwhile. So don't listen to outside people, don't listen to your internal voice, just have a go. And who cares if you don't get there? Have a go at something else. You've had a journey.
yeah.
And that's what I really believe in is I've tried all sorts of things I've failed. I wanted to kite ski. I'm rubbish at it. But I went and had a go. I'm not very good at swimming, but every so often I think I can do a triathlon and I came in last. I'm not very good at it. It doesn't matter. You don't, success isn't being first. It's
No.
about what do you want in your life and achieving your things.
And so, what are your plans and goals for the next years? How is your future looking?
I'm thrilled. I'm 60 this year, and I'm thrilled that it's funny how your mind changes. I don't want to pull a sledge for 80 days anymore. It just is not where I want to be. So what I'm doing now is I'm speaking more. I love that. That's plans, and I'm going out more. But equally, I'm doing some small work with Realise. I'm also putting together a mini expedition in Svalbard with some ex-military people. I'm looking at getting involved in an expedition that somebody else is putting together, not mine, and helping with that. And that's about multi-year ice on the ocean. So it's going in small points, but still being involved without having the 80 days. And I love that. I love that I can get involved in other people's projects and add what I've, my skills and experience. That's my future. As I get older, that's my future.
And you're absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for telling us your story today and all your experiences and the wisdom that comes from that. It's been a really inspiring conversation.
Thank you. And you too. Thanks for having me. Take care.